So, any other questions out there? Yes, back there.
Could you talk about the process of adapting the screenplay from the book? Kind of things that were important to add and things that you were unable to bring forward from the book?
Most of it was a function of taking an epic 350-page novel and trying to distill it into something that people could sit through in a reasonable running length. And so decisions had to be made in terms of the different characters, and of course some of the effects described in the movie were quite epic, the book, and which we wouldn't be able to afford, so those didn't work. So we had to find some bridging ideas. It was a bit of a challenge, and there were choices that had to be made. There's so many good passages of dialogue that I wanted to try to maintain, and sometimes they were in monologue form, and I just went with it and kept them in because the actors had performed them so capably. But it certainly was a challenge because there was so much in it. Probably enough to, we still probably have another one or two sequels that could be made from all the material we never touched. Anybody else with a question out there? Okay, yes, way in the back.
As the novelist, have you seen the film before this? And if not, how did it match the vision that you had as you wrote it?
Before today, I had just seen the trailer, but I had seen news trickle out as things had happened. I had heard about casting and saw how perfect some of the casting was, and I had seen storyboards, so little things reached me, but I am the type of person I didn't want to see bits and pieces of it. I wasn't insisting that he send me a bunch of MP4 files of the finale so I could see it. I wanted to see it like this, complete, together. If someone else asked to see the next novel, like bits and pieces of it, I would physically fight them to stop them. So that was one thing I didn't want. I wanted to see the finished product, which I am pretty sure is superior to the novel. But if those who here have read the novel, so virtually, a lot of people won't admit that they've read it, but the novel, it was originally published in serial form and bits. So what it is, in some ways, almost reads like an anthology of like three separate stories. They're like some Anne Rice novels are written this way. There's a framing device, and it goes through a lot of different steps. It's not structured like a film. And I knew this, because I'd seen movies before. So, from a storyteller's point of view, somebody who knows the structure of the story inside. Now, I know that as I was publishing episodes of this, with each episode, there's a certain amount of circling back you have to do. For instance, in the book, there's more than one girl. There's one early on, and then she drifts away, and then Amy's introduced later. Well, you would never do that in a film. You're not going to halfway through switch out the female leads, because half the audience, like people who wouldn't have to go to the bathroom, they'd come back and say, is that a different girl? Like what? So I came into this knowing that there was a lot of condensing and collapsing of the story just because I know enough about story structure. But if I had been handed a screenplay in 5 years to do the task, I wouldn't have done it as well as that. Because he's went through and spent a very long time with it, distilling down the moments that define the story. And then you just have to tweak a little bit so that it makes sense altogether. And the people who read the book, and some of you, how many of you read the book more than 3 times? there's a few. So I think you would agree that you can see where those changes were made, but every change, in my opinion, pushes it further toward what the story would have been. But I didn't see a frame there that was selling out, that was making the story less, that was refusing to take risks or trying to Hollywoodize the story. There's still a doorknob that supernaturally turns into a penis. If that's still in the movie, you know you got a pretty faithful adaptation. Because there's a lot of movies that don't have that. I think that's one of only 4 films at Sundance this year that have a penis doorknob scene. So I've talked for far too long. I'm sorry.
Alrighty, any other questions out there? Yes, on the aisle there.
I got one. David, how did you come up with the story? And did you have your own special soy sauce to make it? If not, Don, what made you decide to do this book?
Every writer gets that question, like, where do you get your ideas? And it's actually pretty simple because, like, I think everyone at some point in their life has gotten bored enough in a room where they've just started making up crap. Like, you'll be in algebra class and you're 14 and, like, the gut teacher's just droning on, and eventually you just think, what if this building was attacked by zombies right now? Like, how would we defend it? Like, that's... And I have, like, just crippling attention deficit problems. So I got bored really, really fast. So people ask me that because they want me to tell them how to do it. And the way you do it is, you have such a crippling inability to pay attention to your life that you're just constantly in that daydream state. And if you do that long enough, it's simply, you just keep getting more and more complicated with your daydreams. So that's really it. Like, I think every story ever written has come from that place. But this story, before it was a novel, was written on the internet in a series of course, about 5 years, a series of episodes. So the pacing of the story was like trying to write a 150,000-word novel for people that are into Twitter. That, I consider a 140-character tweet to be like, okay, that's too much. I gave up halfway through. So there's this really hyperkinetic pace to it, because the whole time I'm just thinking all of my readers are like one click away from all the porn they could want. I have to somehow, with this next sentence, convince them to keep reading this daydream I had, instead of going and surfing literally all the porn in the world. There's a quick way, and it's free. So that pressure it put on me, if I had sat down and did the traditional writer thing, and tried to write it as spend 2 years all by myself, alone writing, and then just get rejected by publishers, and then drink myself to death, it would have never happened. It was the fact that I was writing on the internet that combined my very strange and, an imagination that really should be medicated if I had already seen a professional about it, but with this urgency that my readers are going to go surf porn. So that's what gave birth to this, and it's a matter of with each chapter, like, trying to top myself, because I knew that if I didn't, they would all stop reading and would go surf porn instead. So I hope that answers your question.
Now, the second part of the question. And this is the first movie I've ever been involved with that was decided by an Amazon robot bot program, because I got one of those emails that said, if you like this, you will like John Dies at the End by David Wong. And I read the little log line, it sounded fantastic. I ordered the book, and then the rest is history. So, any other questions out there? Yes, last question.
Are there going to be any sequels, like John Dies in the Beginning or something?
Yes.